Mr. Chairman, move to approve the general agenda with the modifications by County Manager Couch and Chairman Thompson.
Second.
We have a motion, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you. Mr. Wynn, if you would come up, please.
Well, good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here before you this morning for what will probably be my last time in this capacity. I will be retiring January 31st, and I thank you so much for that opportunity. But I want to do one thing first before I offer that sincere thank you. I want to let you know that we do have some cold weather that's coming in this week. And I just wanted to let you know that Public Safety and Emergency Management is going to be leaning into that and making some decisions today about the possibility of opening a warming center if we have to protect our most vulnerable population, particularly the homeless folks that we have out there. Mr. Grice, who works with our BOAD, is working on getting some blankets into law enforcement vehicles so we can be sure that we have something to hand folks who may be in a difficult situation starting tonight and then throughout the rest of the week. But nighttime temperatures, Friday and Saturday, will probably go into the teens, so we want to be prepared for that. Tonight's going into the 20s. Temperatures are going to rebound during the day, so we feel good about just hopefully being able to offer something at nighttime where folks can get in and out of the weather. But the second thing I want to do is what I mainly ask Mr. Thompson to give me just a few moments is I want to thank you for the opportunity that I've had in this position. It has truly been a very wonderful experience. We've made some positive changes together. I feel very confident about the future of Bulloch County. I love this county. I love the citizens. Most of them, I love them, but I pray for all of them every day. But I also pray for this board, and I know that you've got some difficult decisions to make in the future, and you've already had to make some, but I'm very confident in what you've done, and I'm very confident looking at it from a public safety perspective that you have really positioned us to be prepared for whatever may come in the future growth and development that this county is surely going to have. And there's really nothing we can do about that. We've tried to lay a good groundwork, but we're gonna lean into it just like the board has done and will continue to do to make some critical decisions that will hopefully positively impact the citizens of the county. But I've served about 7 chairmans and numerous county commissioners. When I started off, I think the population in the county was just right at 60,000, maybe a little above 60,000. And as Mr. Couch has made reference to, we'll probably in the next 10 to 15 years be closer to 100,000. And so you are laying the groundwork for some critical decisions that have to be made. So I wish you well in those. But my main goal to be here was to thank you for the opportunity that I've had. I was the first public safety director for the county, and it has truly been a pleasure. I want to thank Mr. Couch. 20 years ago, he chose to keep me on, coming up on 20 years. He chose to keep me on, and for that, I'm thankful to him. And I've only had to serve 2 county managers in this entire 32 years. So that in itself is a testament to the leadership on the commission of this county, that when you find stable leadership, you stick with it. And I think you reap the benefits of that. But my main objective here was to thank you, and I just appreciate so much the opportunity. I'm not going anywhere. But this will be my last time standing before you, hopefully, unless something bad happens between now and the 31st. But we'll be prepared to do that if it does. But thank you so much for the opportunity to serve you. Appreciate it.
Well, before you sit, go ahead. I want to say thank you as well. In my 20 years here, when you talk about leaning in, or lean in general, you've been fabulous in providing advice and leadership in public safety, especially in the leanest of times. We've always been able to figure out a way to build capacity and accelerate it for the future. And I'm grateful because with some very minor exceptions, my phone's been on the hook when it comes to public safety. And you can't ask for much more than that. I know things come up from time to time, but I'm forever grateful for your service, not just individually, but I think I speak on behalf of everybody in Bulloch County.
Thank you, sir. My wife's not here this morning, but she'll be with me Thursday night, and she's really the one that deserves all the credit for any good thing that I've accomplished, for sure. But anyway, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve.
Ted, I'd like to add, I've been here with you a long time too, 19 years, 1 month, and 3 years on planning and zoning. And you have done a fabulous job. We're going to miss you. And it's always good to have a great backup coming in behind you, and I think we have that. But good thing is to hear that you're not moving away from Bulloch County, because we may still need your expertise. And, but you got a few more days to be with us. And
Right.
going to ask, any other commissioners have any comments?
Ted, I appreciate everything you've done, and I know I've been with you on the public safety side you've been my boss for a while, for many years, and now I guess I'm up in the above you, but it's been a pleasure to serve on both sides with you. We did a lot of good things over the years, I think, and I just wish you the best, and I'm glad you're going to still be here, and you can put an application in for our breakfast club.
Yes, yes. I'm excited about that.
And I would like to say I appreciate it. I've been knowing you my whole life, and praise to your wife. I understand completely. I've been knowing you that long, and I know she deserves
Yeah.
a lot of credit. Born and bred here, I know you wasn't going anywhere. You ain't got nowhere to go, so
Yeah.
you're just going.
I do have my ninth grandchild's going to be born in May in Raleigh, North Carolina, and that will put 7 of them in Raleigh. So I'm going to be hitting I-95 and I-40 a lot, heading that way for a while. But
Well, you won't be able to take about 1 week at a time, and you'll be back.
that's right. That's right. I'll keep my residency here for sure.
I spoke to you this morning, but I just
Yeah, thank you, sir.
sincere thank you from
Yeah.
our family and the rest of the county.
Yeah. And
I look forward to missing those zoning meetings on. That's going to be a good thing, and I'll pray for you on those.
And I echo what the other commissioners said. Thank you for what you've done, Mr. Wynn. And like I said, Godspeed as you move forward.
Thank you, sir.
You're blessed to enjoy your retirement.
Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yes, sir, thank you. Next on our item is the consent agenda, and I will read these. There's 9 items. Number 1 is the minutes approval of Tuesday, December 19th, 2023. Minutes approval Tuesday, January the 2nd, 24. Motion to approve a sole source purchase of cool deck concrete sealer and supplies. Motion to approve a Microsoft license upgrade for the Recorder AIS system. Motion to approve the purchase of Firestone tires for fleet maintenance. Motion to approve the purchase of a gas convection oven for Bulloch County Correctional Institute. Motion to approve the purchase of a 2023 Ford F-450 4x4 ambulance from 10-8 Fire and Safety LLC. Motion to grant a 2024 alcoholic beverage renewal license for packaged retail beer and wine sales to certain establishments with a current 2023 license. And a motion to grant approval of a special event permit submitted by Zach Van Otteren of Kennedy Pond Conservancy for February the 3rd, 2024. We can vote on these collectively, or if there's anything that you would like to discuss, we'll move it into new business.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we vote on these collectively. All the expenditures or budget items, so I'll make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you. Next, under new business, we will have, you want to discuss the Langston Chapel intersection first?
Please.
Okay. We'll have a discussion of Langston Chapel Road at Lanier Drive intersection.
So I've been asked to facilitate that. I've been getting numerous calls in the last few days, especially kind of picked up last Thursday and Friday. Work has begun on tree clearing and utilities being moved at the future roundabout in front of Middle Ground Primitive Baptist Church. I think well, I know the detour signs have gone up, and I believe from my conversations with Dink and Brad, which I'd like to bring them up to the podium to address this as well. But it just seems like there's going to be a real issue with the detour for the next 30 days. So I think I kind of made a proposal to them, and I'll let them take over from here.
Sure. The project at Harville Road and Langston Chapel is kind of getting underway. I think they're moving utilities right now. They will be at some point installing a detour of that intersection, so you won't be able to drive through the intersection. The contract limits that detour to 90 days. We think that it's probably going to take place during the summertime is when the detour is going to be in, so that'll probably be primarily when that project will be affecting the traffic in that area. We did, on the Lanier and Langston Chapel intersection a couple years ago, we did a traffic study because we're planning to do some improvements to it. We actually have some money budgeted, I believe this fiscal year, to start doing that design work. And one of the alternatives that was considered was making the intersection an all-way stop. And I think that was one of the things that you and I had discussed. And it is a potential solution to alleviate some of the traffic concerns on Lanier Drive. I think that was where a lot of the complaint was coming, was the traffic that's backing up on Lanier Drive, from what I understand.
Yeah, so when you have people that want to turn left to go back toward the roundabout that's there to go out Harville, and you got a lot of college kids. So when they're trying to turn left, people that are trying to turn right get backed up. So if you've got 4 or 5 cars that are trying to turn left and traffic's coming from the elementary school, it just backs it up. I was told that at one point it was backed up for quite a while, where it took as much as like 15 minutes to try to turn right. So, and I know it's just certain periods of the day when maybe school's letting out.
Right. So we do have a project plan there, which obviously is going to take some time because we're also working with Georgia Southern on some anticipated improvements to Lanier Drive, and that's we're still kind of going through some conversations with them on that right now. But as an interim measure, it would be a possibility to convert the intersection to an always stop, where you have to stop from all sides. It would help Lanier Drive. Obviously, it's going to hurt Langston Chapel when you do that. It's going to back up traffic in both directions from the intersection when you do that. But it is something to consider, and I think what I would suggest is that we could go a little more in depth on basically doing a small study on it with our staff, and just come back to you with a report and recommendation on what the pros and cons would be. There's not going to be just one definitive solution to it, because just like with any intersection, you could have multiple things that would work, and you're going to have pros and cons with each one. And it's just going to depend on what you prioritize as being the most important. But we can put together a study and come back to you next month, if that would be agreeable.
Sounds good.
The only thing I'll add to this is As traffic backs up, it does prompt people to take unsafe actions. So I think in the future, we need to do something in that location because we're going to have some accidents because of that. People are going to take initiative to go when it may not be safe. The other thing I'll add is we all know where we went when we went to the four-way stop in Southeast Bulloch. We're going to get feedback from this if we do this because it's going to delay the traffic, especially on Langston Chapel, as Brad said. But it will, I think, be the safest solution, at least in the short term.
Yeah, I agree, and if we can avoid a future major wreck or fatality there, like that was occurring at Southeast, and I think that's what's important here. And yet, one of the citizens that called said that there were times that folks were actually going down the side of the bank to try, to make that right turn. So it's already happening.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Is there a possibility of making a right turn lane there on Langston Chapel?
That was something that was considered in the traffic study we did as well.
Not Langston Chapel, I meant.
On Lanier.
Lanier.
Oh,
Yeah, that would be a possibility, but really what our long-term plan would be, we're looking at converting that intersection to a roundabout or a traffic signal. So I think whatever we do now is really going to be more of just a stopgap measure until more permanent improvements are made. And like I said, we believe that the detour for the Harville Road, Langston Chapel project will be probably sometime during the summer, based on what we've been able to tell, but we'll continue to look at it. But it does look like, you could make it an all-way stop. It would be a workable solution, but it's just going to increase some delay on Langston Chapel. So.
Thanks for y'all.
Any other questions or comments? And since this is under new business, I guess we need a motion for further study.
I'll just make a motion to delay until next month till we have further answers on the mini study.
Second?
Motion, second, and discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank y'all for the report. You wanted to be next.
Yes, if I could.
All right.
Yes, if the chairman will yield the floor, I'd like to preface items 2 and 3.
Okay.
All right, to refresh the board's memory during our budget retreat and workshop, before you passed the budget, we had requested, and you had allocated $500,000 to set aside funds for 2 studies. One is a workforce development study, and the second being a master facilities plan. And they're both somewhat interrelated. There is some overlap. I think when we look at the facility side, before building a facility, we need to have a good idea of how it's going to be manned or how many personnel are likely to be in it in the future. And likewise, the workforce development study, a major part of it is to try to estimate demand for future personnel, county personnel, dependent on population growth in the future. And we recently put out requests for proposals on both of these studies, and we're going to explain them consecutively and ask for your consideration individually by each item. So I think we'll go ahead first, and we'll ask Ms. Mallett, the Human Resources Director, to go through the workforce development study and how we came to our recommendation for a firm.
Thank you, Mr. Couch. Good morning. I'm Cindy Mallett, the HR Director, and as Mr. Couch mentioned, I just wanted to give you an update on the workforce development RFP, how that happened, and what the recommendation is with regard to moving forward. On November 9th, we issued an RFP seeking proposals for a workforce development study. We received 7 proposals, and those were opened on the due date of December 7th. The vendors that responded provided information about their experience, their qualifications, and their approach to the project, along with pricing for both a basic scope of work and potentially some additional activities that we may want to consider. The prices in those proposals, those 7 proposals, range from $34,000 to $867,900. So quite a large range in terms of cost. All proposals were evaluated in terms of their responsiveness, their qualifications, their approach, and the cost on the proposal. 2 finalists were selected, and those finalists were asked to conduct oral presentations to further demonstrate their capabilities, their experience, and that they understood the county's goals in the project. After considering all the information, the staff review team recommends that MGT of America Consulting, LLC, or we refer to them as MGT, that they be awarded this contract. MGT has extensive experience performing the types of work that we are looking for, such as organizational assessments, succession plans, operational reviews, etc. In addition, MGT has significant experience in the public sector. In fact, they started business as a public sector research firm. So we feel like that qualification really sets them apart. The project cost, if we go with MGT, will be $243,970, which is within the FY 2024 budget set for the project, and will consist of all items in the basic scope of work in the RFP. And just briefly, those are a current workforce analysis, which will include things like reviewing the organizational structure, evaluating the skills, identifying any strengths and any gaps that might exist in our current workforce, identifying training and development needs, evaluating employee engagement, which, speaks to their satisfaction and commitment for the job, and then comparing us against industry standards and best practices. The second portion of the project would be a future workforce needs analysis. So where do we want to go? Where do we need to go? They would be analyzing future staffing needs, recommending, if needed, any type of structural realignment, helping us develop very strong succession strategies, identifying external factors that may impact our workforce, and then evaluating the labor market conditions that are impacting our workforce and how we can address those. And then finally, the third step in the project is establishment of workforce performance metrics to allow us to continually monitor the items that are studied. So with that said, staff would respectfully request and recommend your award of the project to MGT for the price of $243,970. If that is your desire, then we will move forward in negotiating specific terms in the form of a written agreement that would, of course, be reviewed and approved by the county attorney before being executed. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, or Mr. Couch may have additional comments.
No, I think you laid everything out perfectly, so I'll defer to the commissioners if they have any questions or comments.
Questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, show of hands. Unanimous approval.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and if I ask you to indulge, I'll ask Mr. Newman to come forward and we'll tag team on the next one.
You didn't have to do that.
Just in case I miss something. But I'll lead off and say the master facilities plan is concomitant with the workforce study, in that whether we update existing buildings or look at the future with new facilities, we're going to have to calibrate the amount and the type of personnel that we need. For example, it's quite likely that in the future, we know we need to have a judicial complex. And if you talk to the courts as commissioners, I think you'll find out that as population growth occurs, that triggers certain things in the court system, like how many judges you have, how many clerks that you have, the size of the judicial circuit, the DA's office, public defenders, and so forth. So it tends to snowball with population growth because those triggers are really built in a lot of times by state law or by state rules and regulations. So similar to the workforce development study, we put out an RFP, and there were 6 firms. Unfortunately, 3 firms had to be disqualified. One was late with their proposal, and the other 2 did not fill out the mandatory paperwork and didn't submit it. So the goal of this study is to be forward-thinking. This study and the workforce development study, that may not have been mentioned, I think they're both on the same track with 10-year forward-thinking time horizons. So, and that's another way that we're trying to sync these 2 studies up. Now, the range in price, and actually in both of these studies, was kind of remarkable, but in the case of the master facilities plan, the range in price is $287,000 to $816,000. Now, with regard to coupling the 2 studies at $500,000, if you were to approve proceeding with the master facilities plan, it would be $31,920 in total. However, I think we have sufficient revenue collection to sustain going forward with the study. And secondly, if you have concerns about that, we can go back and perhaps value engineer the agreement and maybe take out some elements of scope, because what we did, we went in and we gave each proposer or competitor a list of 67, I think, different facilities. Is that right, Randy? Now, we did not include the public works and public safety complex out on 301 North. For one reason, we were already engaged with another architectural firm, GMC. Secondly, even though we need some additional scope in that contract, we want to be sure that, in particular, if it's contemplated to build a jail pod or a new CI, then we may want to consider getting some subject matter experts in who have done those kinds of, or designed, or can assess those kinds of facilities, because they're not your standard office building or recreation center or anything like that. But what we are doing is comprehensive, and I think we're prepared to recommend Pond and Company. They're credible. They're a well-known firm in Georgia. And the other thing I needed to mention mechanically, we evaluated both of these firms in workforce and master facilities based on their qualifications, approach, schedule, and price. It wasn't price alone, but price was a significant factor. So in the case of Pond, they were actually the lowest price bidder, but they're more than capable of doing the project. And what they will look at is both these existing facilities, and then they're going to talk with our stakeholders, department heads, division directors, elected officials, the sheriffs, the judges, and so forth. So they can help us build a plan for 10 years in the future in terms of what we're going to need in new facilities and how we're going to approach funding renovations, corrections, mechanical items that need to be replaced in our existing buildings. And then if we do have new buildings, we'll have to determine if people or departments are moving out of a building, if we're going to decommission, recommission, or otherwise use that building. So having said all that, probably stole any thunder that Mr. Newman could have, but if there's anything I've missed or anything you want to emphasize or re-emphasize, please feel free to do so.
Well, basically, he said it all. I do agree. We did a thorough review of all these companies, and Pond came out to be the best, we believe, after talking to them and then reading through their, brochure and everything. We feel real good that they will be a real good asset to us, and they're local too, so that made it a big plus for us too. So with that said, we would, like for you to go ahead and approve this today.
And I think if you do, like with the workforce development study, we'll probably come back after the county's attorney's review and spread both agreements across the minutes.
Okay. Commissioners have any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That completes the new business. We'll move next to public comments, and at this time, I'll recognize those citizens who have signed up to address the board. Once your name is called, come to the podium, state your name, address, and the county you live in. All speakers will be recognized, who are recognized will be allotted 5 minutes, and we do have the time clock over there if this is your first time here. And if you have spoken your 5 minutes and in the middle of a sentence, finish it, and then you can return to your seat. Thank you very much.
Lucia Burgess Hurst.
I'm Lucia Burgess Hurst. I live in Statesboro, Georgia. Hello again, Commissioners. I have taken it upon myself to do a survey sample of the citizens of Bulloch County since the last time you saw me during the unanimous vote to approve the 2024 budget that over 200 citizens voiced their disapproval for, and that was then disregarded by you, our voted representatives. I also further researched the Hyundai EV plant and its sister foreign factories planned for our county. I have discovered that all the development is not only designed in favor of Korea and China, but is also destined to fail by design after devastating our local economy and ecosystems. My supporting evidence includes EVs are not environmentally friendly or efficient, besides the outrageous amounts of lithium and cobalt required for the batteries that are mined by child labor and slaves in disadvantaged parts of the world, such as Africa and Australia. Did you know that China owns the water and mineral rights of Australia? Sounds familiar. Mining leads to the pollution of the air, water, and soil, as well as deforestation, just like local industrial disposal process will lead to the pollution of our area, which was once a thriving agricultural oasis. Now let's talk efficiency. EVs lose at least 30% of their proposed range in cold environments, such as the winter weather we are about to experience. Have you heard that Hertz, the car rental company, has sold off over 20,000 EVs from their fleet? The reason? They are less profitable and have higher damage expenses compared to gas combustion vehicles. Replacement batteries cost between $5,000 and $60,000. Last only 2 to 10 years. Can you imagine making payments on a $50,000 car and need a $60,000 battery replacement after only 2 years? It's happened, and it was a 2022 Hyundai Ioniq 5 SUV. Over 3,000 car dealerships from all 50 states have signed a letter to President Biden expressing the lack of consumer interest in EVs due to issues like energy grid instability, lack of charging stations, and the concern of rare earth mineral supplies. Did you know that charging an EV costs more and takes longer to charge than it does to fill up a tank of gas? With all that being said, let's focus on the larger concern for our area, the water. It's known that Statesboro uses about 1 million gallons of water per day. However, the Hyundai plant is projected to use over 6 million gallons per day. Why have they been granted access to our beloved Florida aquifer that supplies over 10 million citizens in Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and South Carolina with drinking water while they are located only a few miles from Black Creek, the Ogeechee River tributary? This is also known It is also known that saltwater is already leaching through vertical and lateral saltwater intrusion into our aquifer in Chatham, Glenn, and surrounding counties, which is why Bulloch County was selected to pump the majority of the plant's water supply. The increase in water extraction will affect the water pressure below our clay floor and will drop the water table under current resident well lines, leading to the need of well extensions at the cost of our hardworking people. This extreme pumping could also lead to vast sinkholes in our area, causing property damage that we are not prepared for. Now let's talk about the money being collected for our precious water, shall we? Bulloch County is wholesaling our water to Bryan County for 85 cents every 1,000 gallons. Side note, we would pay $3.15 per every 1,000 gallons, almost 4 times the deal that Bryan County is getting. Bryan County is then selling that water to the plant for $12 per 1,000 gallons. That's over 14 times profit. Bulloch County is proposed to collect about $157,000 a month, while Bryan County will collect $2.2 million a month on our water. This is an outrageous amount being stolen from beneath our feet, literally, and handed to our neighbors in Bryan County. Talk about horrible negotiation skills. There's profit to be made, just not for us. Who on this board still thinks this is a sustainable plan for our county? This is a land and water war, and we all know where you stand. You all think that our numbers are only in the hundreds because that's who shows up to your meetings, but the truth is that our numbers are in the thousands. Farmers have been slaves to their debt and selling their land to avoid bankruptcy. They are being taken advantage of by the very people that voted them into office to represent them. This will not be forgotten or forgiven. I'm sincerely concerned that the board has opened our county up to imaginable risk and future consequences. You are responsible for overdevelopment of our lands with a lack of a decent growth plan, higher taxes in all categories, the mismanagement of our natural resources, especially water, and ignoring the voices of our citizens. We the people were denied our constitutional referendum on the foreign factories with tax abatement and the Bryan County-owned wells. I fear that this will lead to Bivens actions and crimes against humanity. This is our last chance to dissolve contracts and prevent the devastation to our community. It's time for you to correct the wrongdoings of the past so that we can move forward together. I guarantee you these are my words. I have citations, and I represent the citizens of Bulloch County. No taxation without representation. Let us vote.
Jennifer Stone.
Mr. Chairman, can I correct one thing that she said? Because I think this needs to be, the actual facts need to be out there on this. Bryan County is not selling water to Hyundai for $12 per 1,000 gallons. I think the reason that got out there, if you look at the agreement, and I have it right here in front of me, between Bryan County and Hyundai, it says water consumptive rate $12 per 1,000 gallons. But in the language immediate before that, it clearly states, there shall be no separate monthly charge for wastewater, and the amount of wastewater delivered by the buyer to the county shall not be separately metered as defined in paragraph 2.13. The consumptive rate for water shall include charges for wastewater collection, conveyance, treatment, and disposal. So that rate includes charges for both sewer and water, and the majority of it's for sewer because it's much more expensive to provide that. So that just, I think the record needs to be set straight on that.
Thank you very much. Next.
Jennifer Stone.
Hello. My name is Jennifer Stone. I live on Kennedy Pond Road, and I also have a property on Spring Creek Road, both in the Southeast Bulloch District. I'm here to ask y'all if there's any way y'all can stop the wells from being dug. I will definitely have to, if the wells are put down for this EV plant, I will definitely have to lower my well on Spring Creek Road. I have 6 children and a 7th one on the way. I would love for my children to stay close to home as they grow. It's my dream to have my Spring Creek Road property for one of my children. I will have to, it's a 20-foot shallow well. I will have to lower it if 10 million gallons of water are going to be, or 6 million anyway. The water pressure will lower. I will have to lower that shallow well. And y'all all know it's expensive to raise children, and the Lord's given us many. And my taxes have gone up on both my properties, and it just makes it a tighter budget. I've had to stop my children's piano lessons this year just so we can continue making ends meet. The cost of living in Bulloch County is only going up, up, up. And I'm of the belief that y'all can do something about that to help just simple people like me to raise a few good people in the country. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you.
Justin Anthony.
Hello, my name's Justin Anthony. I live on Emmett Deal Road. I was just going to bring a few concerns that were concerning to me about the wells. One being already mentioned about the water table. My concern is not so much, what's going to happen the first few years, but over time. I've lived here my whole life. I've watched ponds, go down and up based on the weather. And if we have some dry seasons, that reservoir is going to be going down. Fish are going to die with it, and if they're pumping out that kind of water, it's going to happen. I just kind of looked for reference to farms locally. We operate 48 acres here in Bulloch County, but I went to my neighbor at Franklin Farms just to ask them a question. They were doing 95 acres of production. They're using 1 to 3 million gallons per year. Based on what's going on with the rain. So in a dry season, they're using 3 million gallons per year for 95 acres. In Bulloch County, there's about a little over 180,000 acres in usage for crops. The plant itself is going to be using over 6 million per day. That's a big increase on our water usage. So the effects on ponds, the effects on nut crops, fruit crops that are being irrigated. I think that's going to be an issue, especially if there's going to be any kind of saltwater intrusion, which I think over time would happen. So then you have to think about the effects on our local economy through, pecan production and stuff like that. My second concern is the wastewater itself. If they're dumping stuff into the Ogeechee River, that's going into the Atlantic Ocean. I have 4 children. I take them to Tybee. Usually every year, and my concern then is, what's going to happen to all this wastewater going into our ocean? There's red tides, blue-green algae in Florida. It's happening through agricultural waste, of course, but what's this wastewater going to do in the amount that's being pumped into the river? And then ultimately, who's benefiting from the cost of this plant? I mean, Hyundai is, which is a South Korean company. But I mean, how much are we benefiting from it? We're going to be paying taxes to build the infrastructure required to pump the water with these wells, and I don't see how I'm benefiting anyway from it. Plus, a lot of these plans are temporary fixes, at least in the proposal. So I'm wondering about the long-term plans. And then, of course, as Ms. Lucia had mentioned, the electrical vehicles. The demand for them is low. So this mega sites being put in our area, we're funding private enterprise, and then how long are they going to stick around? And then what's the use of the wells after they leave? So those are my main concerns: the water table, the wastewater, and of course, what am I benefiting from this? You'll vote, my son.
Leisha Neville.
Good morning. I feel like we're all on first name basis by now. I've been up here so much. But my name is Leisha Neville. I live at 82 Shat Road, Register, Georgia. A lot of the comments that have already been made really resonate with me. I kind of get the feeling that, and in saying this, let me say that I don't just sit and read all day long, because I do have to work. But I just got back from a trip from Kansas. A 2-day fly out, drive back trip to bring my daughter home. And I don't know how much y'all travel or what you know, because but anyway, if you're in a different state, the news pops up from that state. So as we were coming back, and I noticed that all across the country, other states are dealing with the same kind of issues that we're dealing with here. It's kind of like somebody woke up one day and said, oh, let's let China and South Korea come take over the United States. Because that's what I saw, throughout as all the articles were popping up, and people were very concerned that we were losing America. Not just Bulloch County, but we're losing America. Now, obviously, we here are more concerned with Bulloch County because we live here. And we may not be aware of everything, but I have been reading and researching, and I do know that, there is a problem across the United States for some people. And I realize it all looked, really great. Let's get all this money. I haven't seen the money, but somebody's getting money. But, the points that they made as far as this electric car business is flopping right before our eyes. And in all honesty, and I'm not getting into politics here by saying this, but all it will take is one change of a president one way or the other in November, and we could have no more electric cars. And, and that's something that I've talked to other people about. I said, it just kind of hit me one day. All of this could change, and we're putting everything that we have in Bulloch County into this South Korean plant. It could all end. It could come up in January of next year. Whoever the president is could say, oh, never mind, we're not doing electric vehicles anymore. And we've invested everything in it. But my biggest concern is I realize the entire country is dealing with this. And I'm not being selfish when I say this, but I am concerned mostly about Bulloch County. But what I'm concerned about is I'm concerned about how it's dividing our county. And I know I've said this before, but y'all, we can't do this. I'm hearing comments that, oh, well, I wasn't going to run for county commission, but now so-and-so wants to run against me, so I think I'll just see if I can win or, win one more time and stuff. Then you got people over here about, well, we hate all the commissioners. We want them all gone. Okay, I don't feel that way, and I don't feel like this is a game. To me, it's not a game. This is our life, and I mean all of our lives. This is the county that all of us grew up in. Well, we kind of imported you from up north, but, we grew up here. This is our home. And the arguing, the being mean, I do not like mean people. I don't like being mean. I don't like taking this as a game. It is not a game. These are people's lives. And I just continue to say to you more and more that if we can work together, if we can talk, if we can not hear all this stuff everywhere, but just talk together and work this out and make our county still be the best county in the whole state, because I believe it is. And I promise you that after driving 18 hours, nothing made me happier than to be back home to Bulloch County. There is no place like Bulloch County. And I truly believe that. And I just hope that we can all work together for the good of our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Fund.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Brian Fund. I live at 246 Cleary, Brooklet. Last meeting was my first meeting up here. I took the day off work today to come up here and speak some more. Pretty much, a lot of the things that I was planning on saying, they've already been said, but I want to reiterate a couple things. I'd like to thank Chairman Mosley for your invocation this morning. And you said something that spoke to me, and you thanked our veterans and the people that are fighting for us. I was there. I did that. 14 years in some godforsaken places to fight for our freedoms. And now I'm here in Bulloch County. I'm originally from up north. Like Lisa said, there's some imports. The Army brought me to Georgia. I decided that I wanted to stay in Georgia because I loved it. I moved from Effingham County to Bulloch County 2 years ago because of what was going on there. And that was just right before all this Hyundai stuff. So now I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to fight again for the citizens here, because you're elected by the citizens. You're supposed to work for us. And I don't feel like you're doing that. And one of the reasons I say that is this draft right here. It was like pulling teeth. Thank God Lawton was able to get it, but you didn't want to give it because there's stuff in here that you didn't want us to see yet. And I understand it's a draft, right? When were we going to find out about this? Whenever Mr. Couch signed it? Were we going to talk about this up here? There's been some comments that's been made. Councilman Connor. Last meeting, you about scolded us for clapping, correct? And you said that you didn't need any applause. But these are your constituents. These people are happy with the decisions you're making. And then you made the comment that you wanted to get back to your family. We all want to get back to our family. Somebody brought their whole family here today, right? And you also made the comment, correct, that you're here trying to run a business. We can go back and look. It's on the minutes. It's in the record. You're up here trying to run a business.
Run a meeting.
Run a business.
Run a meeting.
That's to be decided. Business, meeting, that's fine. If you're running a business, does it sound like a good idea to sell 85 cents for 1,000 gallons of water at wholesale price? What are the citizens of this county paying whenever they don't have a well and they got to buy city water? They ain't getting it 85 cents for 1,000 gallons. Why should we give it to Bryan County to sell it to the Hyundai plant? All right? Mr. Atkins, he kind of went over some stuff here that maybe some misconceptions, but still, look at the numbers. Bulloch County is going to sell, between selling the water and franchise fees, $156,825 a month. That's what Bulloch County is going to get from Bryan County at the rate of what they're going to need of $6.15 million. Now, I realize that the numbers might be skewed because of sewage and supplying that Bryan County is going to do, but that's still $12. $12 for 100,000 gallons. So at the end of the year, we're going to make $1.8 million, and at the end of the year, Bryan County is going to make $26.5 million. If we're running a business, that don't seem like good business work. Right? You raised our taxes, but we're going to sell the water dirt cheap. I don't even want to sell the water, but if we have to, we're going to sell it at 85 cents for 100,000 gallons. Is that going to pay for somebody to get their well dropped? Has anybody thought about maybe having Hyundai or Bryan take out a bond in case our wells need dropped? So we don't have to come here and ask you guys to pay for our wells to get dropped, and you're going to just use our money to do it? That's the questions I have. That's what I want you to think about. I understand there's growth. My fear is somebody's twisting your arm from up above and you have no choice but to do it. But you do have a choice. You all have a choice. I hope you make the right choice. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Joyce Harvison.
Good morning, good morning. Hi, my name is Peggy Joyce Harvison. I live off of 46, 5 miles from one of the well sites in Bulloch County. Thanks for letting us speak this morning. I just want to say that there's so much information circling around, right or wrong, good or bad. Things need to be clarified for the average American citizen, which I consider myself an average American citizen, trying to understand all the numbers, all the dollars, why Brian, why Bulloch, why not this, why not that. So when we look where we're hurt the most is the pocketbooks. And it's the pocketbooks of everyone in this room, and it's the livelihood of everyone in the room and those that couldn't be here today. So all the questions circling around and the dollar amount, is it 1.6, is it 12, is it 85 cents, that kind of stuff. There needs to be something clarified, and y'all being the wiser of the group that we're talking to, the people that are supposed to be doing what's in our best interest, there's got to be some easier document for us to look at and say, yes, this is correct, no, that is wrong, instead of, sorry, we mentioned it wrong. I've already calculated the numbers just as the other speakers have, and it's just amazing. And depending on which document you're looking at, whether it's EPD, whether it's something on a Facebook site, whether it's Ageechee River Keepers, it's not a pretty site. It's not a pretty site as far as, I just can't handle it. So what I want to know is, we assume the contract's already signed, and if that's wrong, then make an ass out of me. So if the contracts aren't signed, we have an out, and if it's going to cost us a few $1 million, that's a hell of a lot better than a few $1 million, or a hell of a lot more than we're going to end up costing in the long run. So I need to know, is there an out clause, and what can we do, or y'all do, since y'all are the elected officials, to make that out clause happen? Being a good neighbor, we're allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of at the cost of our own citizens. Brian, I came from Savannah. Where did Brian go? I came from Savannah, Chatham, to Effingham, to Bulloch. And I'm just like, I'm in your same shoes. I'm in your same shoes. And it's just driving me crazy. Brian couldn't do the water because they're in a yellow zone. They couldn't go to their neighbor Chatham because Chatham's already mismanaged all their water, and they're in a red zone. So who do we go to? We go to our neighbor Bulloch. And Bulloch is being taken advantage of, and I see it happening. So what happens, as Brian mentioned and others mentioned, when we reach our water limits, do we go to the next county up and say, please, let's go into a deal and make some water? I mean, God isn't making any more land, and God ain't making any more water, except maybe the frozen tundras and that global warming. We're in a bad area. So the numbers pertaining to the proposed plan between Bulloch and Bryan counties going to the HUNDA, that's been, 16 or this or that. So what they require, when people are talking about 6.1 million gallons a day, that sounds like a huge amount, and it is phenomenal. But let's break it down to the average citizen. Do the math. Your average swimming pool, not talking about my backyard swimming pool, which is a little dinky thing for the grandkids, but your average swimming pool is 20,000 gallons. Do the math, 20,000 gallons and 6.1 million gallons. That is 300 swimming pools being refilled, not filled and done, refilled every day, every week, every month, every year, over and over and over again. 300 swimming pools. That's a hell of a lot. That's a hell of a lot of water. I can understand swimming pools. I can't understand 6.15 million. So when you do that, and people have already talked about the math, I'm not going to go into that again, but try to explain that to us. And Ms. County Attorney, I'd like to hear more about how that number, because I'm a numbers person. So when we talk about Bulloch and Bryan paying and overseeing in the green zone, the red zone, the white zone, it looks like Bulloch was the golden goose. We are the golden goose holding all the golden eggs, and we let them go for next to nothing at the cost of my children, my grandchildren, my future grandchildren's grandchildren. Like I said, God ain't making any more earth. God ain't making any more land, water. We have to preserve what we have. And Mr. Mosley, when you said, let's pray for peace, love, and harmony, we need to have peace, love, and harmony. And we need to all get together and agree to disagree, but agree what's best for the good of the country and the good of this great county of Bulloch County, state of Georgia. And peace, love, and harmony, we can just pray that that will prevail. Almost all the questions talk about documents. Brian talked about documents. It is hard for the average citizen as myself to understand the documents. I would like to have something in plain writing, because like you heard Brian said and all the other speakers, you just kind of dig in, you get in a rabbit hole and your brain just, you can't understand it. But it is more than just the aquifer. Most of us looking toward the future. We are stewards. Y'all are stewards of this great county. I'm a steward of this great county. We all in this room and the people that couldn't make it today, stewards of this great county. We have to make the right decisions for the future generations, or there won't be a future. There won't be 200,000 or 300,000 or 400,000 people coming to Bulloch, because it will just look like another Savannah. But instead of warehouses, we will have megasites, batteries, and megas and cars. And that's a whole nother argument. My current well is 3 years old. We lived on the front 22 of our property, and that was our original well that's now 7 years old. We ended up selling that property. But as someone's mentioned, when we sell, if we do sell, and I don't want to leave Bulloch County, but if we have to sell because of all this craziness, or if I don't sell and I stay, then the last minute my well draws up. Who's going to protect me? Are y'all going to collect pocketbooks and buy a new well for Joyce Harbison? Who's going to protect my water from drying up and being damaged or contaminated because of this mega site? The well is only 5 miles from my house. 5 miles. That may sound like a lot to a lot of people, because there's people living 100 yards from that well. And God love them. God take care of them. But somebody needs to have a plan, or revise a plan, a transparent plan that's in the best of all the citizens of Bulloch County. I'm in District 2, so I'm talking to Deal and Connor and Stringer and Rushing. Y'all got to look after me. You know, y'all are my 4 district commissioners for District 2. Y'all got to look out after, because we're the closest ones to that well. So we need a transparent plan that's the best interest of all citizens in Bulloch. And what will that plan be? I don't know, but it's got to be implemented, and it's got to be a final resolution that people want to see. The main percentage, whether that's 75% agree or 90% agree or 51, we got to do what's right for everybody. There's got to be a document where there's action items, they're held accountable. What's that current plan for all entities and parties involved in the state, county, local government? There's no stopping it. We've got to pause and just take a breath and just see what's going to be for the greater good. How much extra are the citizens of Bulloch County going to pay? My taxes already went up almost $500 this year. So how much more are we going to have to pay for water being routed to people's house, more permits, more wells are not and denied, and sewage and all that other kind of stuff? Put restrictions on water consumption in specific areas for a reason. People already have that. Bulloch County maybe needs to look and see what other counties, other states have done with the 30, and if y'all didn't realize that, there are 30 plants for electric batteries. And why are there 30 plants for electric batteries, but not that many plants for electric vehicles? That tells you, as she just said, those batteries don't have a long, sustainable life. They're going to be in this earth, killing the earth, long after I die. Thank you for your time.
Marcy Simmons.
Good morning. I just have a brief statement. My name is Marcy Simmons, and my family and I have been residents of Bulloch County for 10 years now. In the time that we have lived here, we have watched as our elected officials consistently raised our taxes and at the same time become more secretive in your decision-making process. I would just like to go on the record as saying that we are disappointed in those that we have elected. You have poured shame onto your own heads by making decisions without the vote or approval of your constituents and by handling matters behind closed doors. We do not approve of the way that you are choosing to steward our water resources. I pray that you will vote and act in a way moving forward where your conscience may be clear, as we will all have to give an account one day to our Almighty God. Thank you.
David Jackson.
Good morning. My name's David Jackson. I live at 3836 Eldora Road. It is 6 miles from the mega plant. I have a pond about 1 acre that's spring fed by 2 springs. I have a well that is a shallow well. I bought this property 2 years ago this month. I have done a lot of work on my property. I'm talking a lot. The place was overgrown, was a mess. I have my grandkids living with me. I'm trying to make an environment for them to be able to enjoy the pond. You don't even want to know how much money I spent on fish over the last 2 years. I am the president of a motorcycle organization. We represent over 280,000 motorcycles in Atlanta during the session and every year. I have 13 chapters in this state. I have over 1,000 members. I have to budget every year for my organization. I own a company. For 30 years I've been in business. I have to budget every year for my expenses, my expenditures, my insurance, everything. When I look at the numbers that are being shown on what Bulloch County is proposed to sell to Bryan County and all, it don't make economical sense. I don't know who done this, but they evidently went to the Jethro Bodine School of Economics because it just don't make sense. But yet y'all want to sit up here, you want to raise our taxes. I have flood problems because your water comes under Eldora Road and floods my property. I called the county engineer. Oh, well, that's the way whoever designed it. Well, I don't like it. I own the property now. You don't have my permission to flood my property anymore. And if something ain't done about it, then I'm going to probably start charging the county for you using my property for water runoff. It's washing out my driveway, and I'm getting tired of it. I live 6 miles from that plant. If you don't know about the battery crap, there's a plant, I think in Texas, that has drawn so much electricity off of the grid that they are now having to build a coal-fired power plant to supply the electricity for that battery plant. What common sense is that? The electrical car crap is exactly what it is. It's crap. It's not going to last. You've heard the reports of all the dealers that have sent letters to the president to back off of the mandate. I mean, it's crazy. I got a friend of mine that's in a towing company. He said, you don't understand how many cars we tow around Pooler and I guess over there around Skidaway Island because they break down. They don't have no power. And when we get them to the shops, there's something wrong with them. And he says the cars ain't worth the money they bought them. So y'all got to understand, people are only limited to so much a year with their money. People have so much income per year. We cannot afford to support a foreign entity that is a privateer company at our expense, and it needs to stop now. Do y'all know that China is down here in around Bleaching area trying to buy properties through an investment group? I got a friend of mine that lives down on the Ocala Hunting Club Road. He's got about maybe 8 acres. You know, they went up there and offered him $5 million for his property because it backs up to the properties of the warehouses on 280. Are we going to start selling out to China next? Thank you.
Tim Powell.
Get my eyes where I can see here. My name is Tim Powell. I'm not going to broadcast my address all over YouTube, but I live in rural Bulloch County. Let's talk about water. Petition I gave you an opportunity to sign at the meeting before Christmas now approaches 4,000 signatures of citizens who oppose the drilling of wells in Bulloch County to supply water for North Bryan County and the Hyundai car plant. I am in agreement with those 4,000 people, but as usual, I have brought a solution to this problematic issue. I present this solution to you in all seriousness, and it doesn't require a backup plan Mr. Connor, which you were right in suggesting that we definitely need for this water issue. The state of Georgia currently sits on a $16 billion surplus. Now, it's my understanding that one of you commissioners has a very close relationship with the governor. If that is true, surely you have his personal cell phone number. I suggest you call him after this meeting and suggest to him that he get the legislature to approve a few billion of that surplus to expand the capacity of the Savannah Water Works, where they draw water out of the Savannah River, and the accompanying infrastructure to get Savannah River water up the interstate to the car plant and North Bryan County. Problem solved. After all, according to the experts, this is the preferred method of water supply for the car plant in the future, not aquifer draining wells in Bulloch County. There should be plenty of money for this project, even after he gets through doling out money from the surplus to special interests to buy votes for his next political adventure. If you don't want to call him, give me his phone number. I'll call him. If that solution fails and the wells are approved by EPD, the ball will be back in your court. It appears that someone on behalf of Bulloch County has negotiated this monstrosity of a draft water and sewer service agreement with Bryan County. This is quite possibly the worst business contract in the history of contracts. I understand reading it why the negotiator of the contract was trying so hard to keep the citizens from seeing it. He was ashamed of it. He was embarrassed by it. Trip Tollison and his team of wealthy carpetbaggers must be sitting in Savannah laughing their tails off at what they put over on us ignorant rednecks, hicks, and hillbillies up here in good old Bulloch County for their enrichment. The positives for Bryan County in this draft agreement are in the hundreds. The positives for Bulloch County are zero. Now, I know who negotiated this contract. It was not an elected official of the county. You are all businessmen, either active or retired. The negotiator of this agreement has been a bureaucrat for local governments his entire career. I hope there is not a world where any of you commissioners, as good businessmen, would approve this contract. The negotiator of this contract must have trained at the Benji Thompson School of Negotiation. The negotiator is a Judas to Bulloch County, hopefully minus the 30 pieces of silver. So the contract must be changed. And here again, I bring solutions in the form of revisions to the agreement. Now, revision number one, I have to revise because of what Mr. Akins has enlightened us to, but this points out the need for a countywide community meeting so that we can get the exact figure, whether it's $12, whether it's 85 cents, whatever it is. It needs to be reversed, and Bulloch County needs to be on the top. You are not Walmart, the low-price leader in this deal. You are the basic manufacturer of the water. You have a patent on green zone water. You have no competition. Act like it. For Bryan County, it's green zone water or no water. You've got them by the short hairs because they've already signed a contract with Hyundai to deliver the water. Revision number two, if you're going to tie into the Bryan County sewer system, don't pay to help them build it. Use green zone water as leverage. Just pay the $5 per thousand handling fee. Number three are the most important because they deal with your backup plan. Number three, if any well, this is a revision number three, if any well pump in Bulloch County within 10 miles of these wells needs lowering or any well needs to be replaced because the pump has burned up from being out of the water long enough to ruin it, it will be the responsibility of the Bryan County government to pay for it without legal recourse to avoid it. Revision number four, the wells in any government-owned wells drilled in the future will be monitored for salinity on a monthly basis at the expense of Bryan County by an independent laboratory. If any increase at all is detected in salinity, all government wells will be shut down immediately, pumps removed, and the wells closed forever. A new contract with these and other refinements to the fairness of this water contract with Bryan County should be presented to the citizens of this county in a straight-up referendum. That is the only way that it will be accepted by the citizens. If the chief negotiator refuses to make these revisions, then he should resign immediately. And this draft contract should be shredded, then burned, and the ashes flushed down the toilet because it really stinks.
Cassandra Michael.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I may do so. I may be out of line, but your comments about having a direct number to the governor, I know you were talking about me, and I don't appreciate that. And it's not by my choice that I have that number. You know what? Everybody comes up here saying that we're lining our pockets off of all this, and it's not true. You know what? Because of politics and me running for re-election, because of politics, I've lost more than anybody in this room has lost because of politics, and that's my son. And I do not appreciate you accusing me like I have a direct number to the governor. And that I got his number, but it's not because I want to call up. I don't call him. You can call him and you can ask him how many times that I've called him for favors. None. Okay? I just had to get that off my chest because you brought it up. Thank you.
Clearly, with all the people talking today, the draft water agreement between Bryan and Bulloch County states on the second page, whereas it is in the best interest of the citizens of Bryan and Bulloch County that this agreement be consummated and that such commitments be made. I struggle with that statement and I wonder whose opinion it is, because I, as a citizen of Bulloch County, certainly don't think this water deal is in the best interest of the citizens of our county. I simply stand before you, each of you today, to request a public hearing before any final water agreements are entered into and signed for by any representative of Bulloch County. Ms. Venus Mincy White, I do request that you add this request to the minutes, please. Thank you.
And the last is Julie Barnes.
My name's Julie Barnes, and I live on Cleary Road in Brooklet. I'm also going to speak on behalf of you've already heard from families that have young children. I'm going to speak on the older adults who are on fixed incomes and what this water thing could do to us. Now, I barely make enough to get along. I've had to cut out stuff to pay for the upcoming, taxes for this year to be able to keep myself fed and buy medicine and such. I have a shallow well. I live on 13 acres and I have 2 horses that mean everything to me. I am a transplant to Bulloch County. I've been here for 30 years though, but my husband, Gary, who I know many of you knew, was 6th generation that was born, lived, and died in here. And when we got married, he took me every Sunday, and I have been down every dirt road, of which there are thousands in Bulloch County. And he instilled in me the love for this county, and I never want to leave it. But if I have to put a deep well in place of my well now, that's a shallow well, I got an estimate of $10,000 minimum. I can't do it. You will literally, I live in abject terror of what's going to happen. Do I try to sell my property now that I own right out and try to live somewhere else? What's going to happen? Am I going to be able to afford it? I have to give up my horses that mean everything to me if only I have the 2. What? So I'm not naive enough to think that this, the wells being drilled in Bulloch County are going to happen. It's going to happen. This thing came all the way down from the state. The Hyundai plant's there. They knew up front that, they couldn't get the water from Bryan County and it have to come from Bulloch. And I also have the greatest respect for all of you up here, and I know you want to do right by us. So please, think about this contract. If there's any way that we can renegotiate at least to get more money out of that and then use that money to help these young families, these older families that are on fixed incomes to be able to live if our wells go dry. Because honestly, and that's the thing. There was people saying, well, do I sell now? Or do I wait until my well goes dry and then try to sell? But then what's my property well worth that has no well on it? So I just beg of you to consider us, the rest of the people that are in Bulloch County, that, this could so detrimentally affect. Thank you.
That's the last of our speakers. And Jeff, I'd like to ask a question, and I'm gonna put this on my shoulders, and then the other commissioners can make any comments that they want. How old is this agreement?
How old is it?
How old is this water agreement?
Well, I think it was, the negotiations began, it's got a date of 2022 on it, so it's been
2 years?
over a year, yeah.
How many of our signatures is on it?
None. No, it's a draft. It's not, nothing's been finalized
Do you
yet.
know why our signatures are not on it? Because we disagree with it. And we're not going to sign it until we agree with it. There's a lot of issues with that water agreement. I don't know why. Well, I do too. You can look on every page and it says draft. That means it's not legal. That document is not legal. Why? Because the word draft's got to be taken off and our signatures have to be put on it. And that's not going to happen until we get some answers. I made this comment couple of 2 or 3 meetings ago. We're doing the same thing y'all are doing. We're waiting on EPD, EPA to contact us to discuss the issues. What happens if the wells go dry? Who's going to pay for it? We're not signing that until we find out all of those answers. So you can come every meeting that you want to. We're listening intently. Sorry our horn didn't work today, but I didn't stop those that ran over. But we can't answer your questions because they haven't answered them to us. And if you don't have the trust in us to not sign that, then so be it. If we had agreed with it, we'd have signed it 2 years ago. Any other commissioners have any comments?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Just to let you know, the lady with the horses, we are in negotiations about if there's any damage to anybody's well. We don't have the answer now, so we can't give it to you.
Thank you.
She made a good point. Now, this is just off my cuff. I don't have a piece of paper signed, nothing. This is redneck, whatever I am. This is just ignorant knowledge of mine. The federal and state government already owns land going straight through the middle of that part of the county down there. And it's called I-16. They don't need us. They offered us. And it's said over and over and over again in this room, y'all all businessmen or were businessmen. I honestly believe the wells is going to be drilled no matter what we say, because I don't believe we can stop them. Because they can do just like the way station. They can put them right there, pump it straight down I-16 and ain't got to ask us. The water belongs to Georgia. It don't belong to Bulloch County. Now, with that being said, as a businessman and speaking for the other businessmen, we're going to try to get the best deal we can for Bulloch County. Now, if it comes down that they say that y'all got a store down there and we want the products out of that store and we willing to pay you for them, or we going to get the products out of that store and we ain't going to pay you for them, I can tell you, I'm going to take the payment, less the product being gone and us not getting a dime for it. Now, that's not stated anywhere other than out of my mouth, but I just know, I mean, they put the interstate down, I mentioned it last time. Y'all, the ones that's from here, we witnessed it. Several of them that spoke, our farms got busted. They come right through the middle of it. Oh, everybody had the shotgun standing out there. They kept pushing. You can get on the interstate, you see it. So the proof is that they can do it. I got proof in that. I can show you they can do it. So, We're gonna try to get the best deal we can to get you, if it goes through, I don't know. If some of y'all say you know a whole lot more about it. Maybe the car plant's gonna crash, maybe they won't need it. I don't know. I don't have an electric car, I couldn't tell you. But I can tell y'all that we're gonna try to get the best deal we can for Bulloch County. But as far as us giving you every draft that we never will get nowhere, because we don't even get a chance to go over it and even negotiate it before we get bombarded with questions that we ain't got no answer for. And then I know y'all get tired of hearing that, well, y'all ain't got no answer. We don't have time to get the answers. I mean, so if that helps any good, and if it don't, I'm sorry, but that's just my personal opinion about it. So, but we are working on several different avenues, but we got to work on them. I mean, as far as me, and I feel sure at the other commissioners, we hadn't really sat down and talked to all of the main ones we gonna have to talk to. There's a lot of talking before you ever, it's just like buying a house, a lot of talking goes on before any contracts are signed. So, but this is the first one that I have ever seen, and you see draft on it, and it ain't been signed. So I feel sure there'll be some more coming. Thank you.
Now, these comments are closed now to the public, but any other commissioners want to make any comments about this issue?
Mr. Chairman, I have to say this just to get it off my chest. It's agreeing with Commissioner Rushing. We're working hard to find answers, and we're confirming every day that, why have you made these decisions? We haven't made a decision. We're still trying to get answers to the questions we have. So, as I said in my prayer again, we ask people to be civil. Give us an opportunity to try to get answers. And when we get answers, we will get answers back to our constituents. That's just all I have to say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I got this draft, ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Tim, you probably said it best. It's garbage. 100%. We know that already. That's why we hadn't given it to you, because we knew it had to be fixed before we could ever have a town hall meetings. And it's been discussed by this board numerous times and numerous meetings. Where are we going to do it? How are we going to get this out? We got to get it fixed first. Mr. Jeff Akins, how many times me and you had this conversation on all the issues we've went through this thing and found? We've got to get it presentable for you. Like you said, ignorant redneck knowledge right here, right? That's what you said. Well, it is, because it's not finished. I've got to get it where it is presentable to even my constituents and the public. Because I don't want you to feel like that. And we're going to get it there. And when we get it there, we're going to come see every one of you. And like I said, this is a contract, right? It's just like before you go do anything, before you build a house or even get a loan to build a house. You know what the rock bottom, what the prices is, what it's going to do. You know everything. This doesn't necessarily mean this is going to happen. But you got to go through the first preliminary steps to get it rolling, even if the what if does happen. Now, on your points of the what if statements and stuff, we have went through avenues with Ms. Tom could probably tell you a little more about this, because we had a long discussion about it. We talked about trying to go through Hyundai if we can't get the state to buck up and do it. We've talked about going through the revenue off the well, which we really don't want to do that route, because that's supposed to be a perk for our citizens in Bulloch County if this has to happen. So the options are there. We are working on them, but it does not happen overnight. And to get through to these people takes time, because they know Toby Connor. That's what they know, and he ain't that special. So we working on it. I promise y'all. Don't jump over head and limb just yet. This is not us. Okay, what you got is not us. That's why we really wasn't ready for y'all to have it, because we know it's garbage. We know it is. And that's all I got, Mr. Chris. Thank y'all for coming today, by the way.
Anyone else? Then, and I would like to reiterate what Toby was saying, is you can come next meeting and discuss it with us again. You're going to get the same answer. We don't have the answer. But when we do get it, we will give it to you. Believe us or not believe us. So anyway, now we're gonna move next into staff comments. We're closing the public comments, which we already have, and moving to staff comments. Any staff have anything that they would like to say?
If the chairman will yield to the county manager, please.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to alert the commission that there may be a remote chance of having to have a special called meeting before our first meeting in February. We hope not, although I think Mr. Nguyen telling us about cold weather can tell you anything will happen. But tomorrow, Mr. Nguyen and I and Mr. Tillman, who will be succeeding Mr. Nguyen, are going to meet with a representative of the Georgia Emergency Management Agency and discuss the interim transition for EMA Director. As you know, Mr. Nguyen held both titles of Public Safety Director and EMA Director, but as we have previously discussed, our goal is to replace Mr. Eccles, who's left as Assistant Public Safety Director with a standalone EMA Director, and there is a protocol and a procedure for that, and we want to make sure that we're getting it right with GEMA, because ultimately, whether it's interim or permanent, you all have to make the appointment by vote. However, we currently have the EMA Director's position out for recruitment. I think it's been out for at least a week or two, and we have been getting some applications. So we hope that the interim solution will be brief, but I just wanted to alert you to the fact that if we find out from GEMA that we need to close any gaps between Ted's departure and our first meeting in February, we'll alert you to having a special called meeting and make it as convenient as possible, with that being the sole item of business. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other staff? Been hearing none. Commissioner comments. Any commissioners have any other statements to make? And I'll close this part of it. We certainly appreciate your coming. And I promise you this, we promise you this, when we have the answers, we'll give them to you. And I am compelled to read the following statement. I must now call for a motion to adjourn into executive session in accordance with the provisions of OCGA 14.3, B2 and other applicable laws pursuant to the advice of County Attorney Jeff Akins for the purpose of discussing personnel. I need a motion to go into executive session. Second. Motion will have second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, show of hands. Unanimous approval. We are now into executive session, and thank you all again for coming.